This is Kim with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to talk about buying your first red dot. Whether you're a new gun owner, or maybe you're potentially looking at buying a handgun, or maybe you've been shooting for a while and you have iron sights and you're looking to put one on, we're going to go over some of the basics. With the holidays around the corner, we also have gift certificates available online on our website, so you can get them for a particular amount, or you can get them for a particular class. So make sure you check that out. They will be emailed to you, so you'll get them immediately. If you have anyone on your list you're looking to buy for, or if you just want to support us, we'd greatly appreciate it. We have a playlist on our channel that's just information on red dots, and we're going to be putting out a video soon about why you should get a red dot, so stay tuned for that. First, let's talk about what red dots are. They're called red dots or optics, and not to trick you, they also come in green. A lot of people confuse lasers with red dots. How these work is there's an emitter, it's like a small projector, and it's projecting it onto this pane of glass here. There's nothing actually going to be projected onto the target. Those are lasers. This is a laser. An optic has that, like I said, projector, and it's projecting that image onto the pane of glass, not on the actual target. If you're looking to buy a handgun, I always say it's a good idea to get one that's optic ready, because even if you decide you're not going to get one at the time, you can always add one on later. If you don't have one that's optics ready, it's going to cost you a lot more to add one on. And there's better resale value if you are going to trade it in later. How you'll know if it's optic ready is it'll have screws here, or it'll say in the description of the handgun. If your gun is not optics ready, you can possibly still put one on, but there's going to be a lot of cost to it, because now they have to mill out an area for it and they have to repaint the slide. So you're looking at adding on several hundred more dollars. And you're probably going to have to ship your gun out, and it's going to be probably weeks, maybe even a month or so, just to get it back again. One of the first things you have to consider when you're purchasing your red dot is making sure that the optic can either directly mount to your handgun, or that there's a plate or an adapter that works to make it fit on your handgun. To try to make this as easy as possible, there's 3 different companies you have to consider. Number 1, you have the handgun manufacturer and the footprint that the handgun is cut for. Then we have the optics makers, and then we have the plates that are adapters. Some manufacturers like Smith & Wesson will send you several plates when you get your handgun. Others like Walther will send you, once you buy your gun, you don't get any in the box, but you can send away for 1 free plate adapter. This is an example of 1 plate. This one's aluminum, and they also come in plastic. So this plate would sit on top of your slide, and it would adapt so that the footprint that you currently have would now fit your new optic. And you can see that there's different screw holes, and you can even see from the side there's little notches there. Each optic is going to have a different footprint, so that plate allows you to adapt it. To make it very simple and easy to understand, let's say you had a handgun and it was cut for a B cut, and you have an A cut optic. You would need a plate or adapter, so it would either be A to A or B to B. This is a great example because it shows the cut right there. Once you know your footprint, then you have a few other options to decide. One of the first things you have to decide is that they come in both red and in green. Typically women find red easier and men find green easier, but I definitely say go to the store, hold them up, and see what catches your eye best and what you prefer. Green typically is going to be a little bit more expensive, and they're going to have a little less battery life. The next thing you have to consider is the reticle. These are 2 great examples. First, we have the Holosun, and it has the option where you can have a dot only, just the circle and the dot. Here in the O sight, we have just the dot. The Holosun is considered a multi-reticle system. You can choose whatever system you prefer, just the single dot or the multi-reticle. Personally, I like to use the one with the circle and the dot, and the reason for that is it's much larger, and I'm considering self-defense, and when I draw out, if I see just the top of the U of the circle, I know, oh, my dot is up here, and if I didn't have that circle, I wouldn't be able to see anything at all. And especially when I have new students, it's a lot more helpful to have the circle as well so they can easily find it. Another option you're going to see out there is auto adjust, and the way you can tell is you'll see some type of sensor on the top. There are 2 different ways that auto adjust can work. Some take the light from the area you're standing in, and some take the light from, in theory, the area where you'd be shooting into, and adjust their lighting accordingly. Personally, I used to think, oh, that's a really cool feature, I want that, and the more I used it, especially using it outside, and even now with snow and we got this bright white snow there in the back. I like brighter, and I just find brighter is better.
I just want to jump in here for just a second, and don't worry, I'll be right back to Kim in a second. But I want to add a little context to this when it comes to the light adjustment and what Kim was talking about. So Kim talked a little earlier about being kind of what are you going to be using it for. Most likely it's a pistol, it's going to be self-defense. So I want you guys to think about this. As a cop, I don't care if it's daytime, night shift, day shift. It might be 85 and sunny outside, but I go into a warehouse that's dark and there's nobody in there, and I use my dot, right? And so what everyone's going to say is it's going to be super bright because you don't like it adjusted, and it's going to be this big, green ball or red ball. Who cares? If it's self-defense distances, somebody comes out and I need to use my gun, all I need to do is put that bright ball center mass, regardless of how crisp the optic is or the reticle is, doesn't matter. And if I go back outside where it's bright or it's snowy and I can't see that because I turned it down, then I have nothing. Now I have to revert back to some other aiming system. As opposed to it being bright, if it's in the worst case scenario where it's super bright in a dark room, it's still going to work just fine. But if it's super bright in a bright environment, it's going to work perfectly fine. And anything in between. So that's where the context is that you're going to be in different environments. You can't choose when bad things are going to happen to you. So let's just go with one that's going to work for everything.
The next decision is going to be open or closed emitters. This is an example of a closed emitter. This is an example of an open emitter. Like I explained earlier, there's a tiny projector here, and it's projecting the image onto this pane of glass. This is an open emitter because there's only one pane of glass on the front here, and there's nothing on the rear here. So the emitter is open. If I actually put my finger here, I would be blocking the reticle. This is an enclosed emitter. The projector is inside behind that pane of glass, and there's one on the rear and one on the front. This is one thing where Neil and I disagree, so it's very much personal on what you prefer. So let's talk about the benefits. One of the arguments is that if you got anything inside of here, like mud, dirt, whatever, it blocks the emitter, and then now you have no reticle. I'm not so worried about this because realistically, I mean, this is a huge gun, I wouldn't carry it, but if it was sitting inside of my holster, it's gonna be sitting like this, so the likelihood of getting mud or something in there is very unlikely because it would have to defeat gravity. But the reason why I like a closed emitter is because I hate lint and dust, and guess where they like to go? Inside of this pane of glass, and then you have to get a Q-tip out or some kind of cleaning tool and clean it all the time. So personally, for my carry gun, I prefer to have a closed emitter so that cleaning just makes it a lot easier. I can just get something and wipe that down really quickly. And closed emitters are more expensive, so if you're looking on saving on cost, that could be something you could possibly consider, is just getting an open emitter. Which brings me to my next point, which is cost in brands. And they come from very, very cheap to very, very expensive. When you're looking at pricing, you kind of have three different categories. We have the really, really expensive ones. We're talking about $500 to $800. It can cost as much as your handgun. And some people are very brand loyal, and they will only buy those things, and good for them. Then we have the more mid, which is like the $250 to $500 range. And then we have the really cheap, like the under $200, which personally, I think they're like for airsoft, and it wouldn't be something I would trust my life with. We've been using Holosun for years, so I always say it's a good option because I know it's gonna last. They've been put on guns that we've used for rentals. We use them in class. They've had thousands and thousands of rounds put through them. We are rough with our stuff. We're dropping it, putting it everywhere. So I know it's gonna work and it's gonna last. I've had yet to have one fail. And then you have the newer guys in the market, like we just reviewed one from O-Sight. And so far, so good. We like them, but I always tell people it's hard to know, who knows? And 5 years from now, we might all love O-Sight and think it's great and wonderful. So you have to kind of decide what you want to do. Do you want to spend a little bit more for something that's a little bit more tried and true? Or maybe you want to try something new, and it might turn out to be even a better product. So we got our optic, we picked it out, we decided what color we wanted, what brand, all that sort of stuff. So you're going to put it on your handgun. A lot of them come from the manufacturer. They say sighted in. Personally, I like to sight mine in at 15 yards, but you can make your own decision on that. I like to have it rested and sighted in myself. All of the optics I use are all motion activated, so the second that I pick them up, they're on. I've never had an issue with it not coming on. I just change the batteries out once a year just to be safe. So pick a day. I always say when I'm going to change out my carry ammo, I'm going to change out my ammo, and I'm going to change my battery. It's also helpful. A lot of them you can keep the optic on, and they'll have a window or a door that opens that you can change the battery so you don't have to take it completely off, which is really helpful because then you got to sight it all back in. In your user manual, it'll tell you how many hours they're good for. Those are for a particular setting, so you have to look at that. But just in reference, you're talking about there's a little over 8,000 hours in a year. So most of the optics you're going to have are, the battery's going to last definitely a year. And if you're not familiar with red dots and you haven't shot with them before, there is some differences on how you're going to aim versus using iron sights, which we will have a video out soon on, so make sure you tune into that. And you're gonna see sometimes, especially if you've been shooting with iron sights for a while, that it's gonna be difficult at first for you to switch, but I promise if you stick with it, you're gonna really enjoy it. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a like, a share, a thumbs up, a comment. If you wanna comment about what kind of red dots you like, or any options that you enjoy, please put that below. You can find us here on YouTube. You can click the bell and you'll get notified every time we put that video out. Make sure you stay tuned. We have more red dot videos coming out. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Rumble, and we put all of our premium content on Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to judge by 12 than carried by 6.